Hey, and welcome to part two of the Facebook Live series, Social Media Manager Startup. Again, if this is your first time tuning in, my name is Danielle Welch, and I am the owner of Bridge Consulting and Design. That is a social media management and consulting company that got started back in 2018. And I'm so excited to bring to you guys part two of an 8-part video series I'm doing here in the month of September. Just as a little recap, the whole purpose of this video series is to just share my journey of becoming a social media manager, kind of how I got started to where I'm at today, and some of the things that I did along the way to create the company that I've created. Now, here's the thing, I got done with my last video and I was like, wow, I feel like I kind of talked about myself a lot, and that's not what I want to do. All I'm trying to do here, guys, is just share my story, my experience, and hopefully give some hope and some direction to people out there who are considering starting some type of social media business on their own. You know, like for me, I was working a full-time job. Had I guess 2.5-year-old daughter at the time, was pregnant with our second, and found myself kind of dabbling in a little bit of like website design stuff on the side, and I was freelancing that. Very quickly, that turned into more of like me doing social media management for a few small businesses that were in my network, and then that grew, and it just kind of took off. And it honestly was not something I ever planned on doing, was starting this company, but it just happened. And so I'm doing this entire series to just share my experience and really more than anything, just let people know that I think that there's an opportunity for others to just kind of check things out, you know, whether it's social media management, whether it's becoming a copywriter, whether it's being graphic design or doing whatever, you can learn a new skill set. And I hope through this month that I can encourage some folks to want to pursue becoming a social media manager. So today's focus is really talking about the systems that I put into place to be able to take my business from working like a 40-hour-a-week schedule when I got started down to 20 hours. Okay, so a little bit of recap. I talked about this last time, so I'll try not to hit on it too much, but I built this business outside of a full-time job, also being a mom. My husband and I run another company where we mentor individuals and couples in developing more passive income. And outside of all of that, I went and still started this business, social media management, and that's time website design. I don't do a whole lot of that anymore unless they're a past client and they need updates on their stuff. But so all of that. So I started this business now, which is my full-time gig while doing all those other things, okay? But when I transitioned out of my full-time job, I basically, instead of getting some time back, I actually found myself working just as much as I did at my job. I was working 40 hours a week. And here's kind of looking back now, the perspective that I have on that is I'm kind of programmed that way. We are kind of programmed to work a 40-hour work week, right? Like, I think from the moment we start school in kindergarten, we're programmed to think like, I've got to do work essentially from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. You know, that's kind of the school schedule or whatever it is these days, 7 to 3. And that's kind of like what we're programmed into all the way until we get done with college, and then we go into a career, right? And so when I stepped out of the corporate arena working my job and I started working for myself, I found myself like kind of putting myself in this box of like, while my daughter's at daycare, I've got to work, you know, all 8 hours of the workday. I've got to maximize this time. And I did that for a couple of months. I was 28 weeks pregnant or so. I was actually supposed to be on more like modified bed rest when I was getting all of this started. So sitting, you know, at my desk, I couldn't do that for long periods of time, but I could sit on the couch, I could sit in bed, and I could work, you know, and I would find things to do and fill my 8 hours of my day. And when I really kind of got started, I just did everything. Like, here's, I guess, a tip. I did everything day by day, right? So like I would create social media posts for my clients, and I would kind of post them manually every day for all of my clients. There was like 5 or 6 of them. And I would do that 5 days a week, right? And that only lasted a couple of months because I got tired of that. I was like, wow, there has got to be a better way to do this, because what if I miss a day? Like, what if I have a doctor's appointment that I need to go to? Or what if something comes up with my daughter and I need to, step away? So it's hot in my office. So if I look like I'm glistening, okay? By the way, if you're tuning in live here with me, make sure you drop a comment so I can know that you're here. If I have time at the end, I'm gonna ask questions, but you guys, I got to turn on a fan. Oh no, it's not working. There we go. Whew. If you hear a wind turbine, basically, that's my fan in the background, because it is hot in here. Anyways, real professional, I know. That's just me. So anyways, so every day I would just kind of work through that day. I would just do everything day by day. I didn't plan a whole lot ahead. I just kind of winged it, if that sounds like anybody out there. And I found myself kind of sometimes getting behind and then getting anxious or frustrated that I wouldn't be able to ever get myself out of this position that I was in, where it was I was working for myself, working from home, but I was still just working my own job. I owned my job at that point, right? Instead of somebody else owning my job, I owned my job, and I still didn't have as much flexibility or freedom, which was kind of the whole point of me wanting to work for myself. So a couple of months in, I was like, all right, I need to start figuring out a way to streamline my processes, okay? And the first thing that I did was I streamlined the process of creating content for my clients, all right? So what that looked like was, instead of every single day, let me go back really quick. One of my primary roles as a social media manager is the content marketing side of things. So I strategize with my clients on what their voice is, who their audience is, and I help them put together the right strategy plan for marketing their products and services using social media. And then I go and I would create that content for them. Again, I was doing it daily is when I was creating the content, but now I've got a system in place to where I kind of batch all of that content, okay? So this right here is one of the key things that saved me time in my business. Huge, huge, huge thing right here. And I'm going to teach it to you. I've got a course on this. If you need the step-by-step help, you can either get a PDF checklist that walks you through it for $17, or I have a video course, which is a video training with me. It's 6 or 7 different videos, walks you through the entire thing, and that's called the Essential Social Media Toolkit. There's a link in the caption or whatever up above here. But batching your content. So what I did, instead of every day thinking of a post to make for all of my clients, each client had a different post I had to make every day. And instead of coming up with the idea and then writing it out and then creating the graphic and then going and posting it, which it used to take me 20, sometimes 30 minutes per client. That's 6 clients in a day. That's 3.5 hours of my workday to make 6 posts. What? It's so dumb. So I said, all right, I'm efficient, and let's compare this to meal prepping, right? Why do people meal prep, right? People meal prep so that they can cook a lot of different meals all at one time, whether it's for their lunches for the week or for their dinners. Sometimes, a lot of times, people will match that up with some type of specific diet or meal plan that they're trying to follow. And they do it all on a Sunday, right? That's when I usually try to do meal prepping, if I do it. But they do it all in one period of time. Maybe it takes 1 hour to 2 hours from start to clean up, and they cook all of their meals, and then they compartmentalize it, and then they put it in the fridge, and they know what's going to be for Monday, what's going to be for Tuesday. The benefit of that is you stay on track with your plan, right? You typically are saving your budget, right? You're saving money because you're not running through the fast food or whatever. And then you're saving yourself time throughout the week. That's not 30 minutes each, day of the week that have to go cook for that meal. So I took that concept of meal prepping and I was like, okay, well, why not do the same thing for creating content, right? So basically, long story short, I put together a system that is really effective for me. And then I now have a virtual assistant who helps me with a lot of my content creation for my one-on-one clients, where we use this process of we batch the content. So we first plan. We plan what our month is going to look like. Now, depending on your business, a month might be too far out, okay? So this is why it's important to work with a strategy coach or get some perspective from somebody else on in your business. Or if you are a social media manager wanting to become one, like this is something that I can work on with you inside of my group. Like what makes the most sense for your client? Plan for a month or plan for a week or 2 weeks. So what I would do is I would take a Trello board. Let me see if I can share my screen with you guys. Yes, I can. Okay, sweet. I'm going to come over here. There we go. Trello. Okay, Trello.com. Actually, in the comment section, you can find a link there. It's my referral link. I don't get any commission off it by any means, but you and I both get like a gold credit or whatever on Trello. So I actually use this for my clients, and I would plan out what their month's content looks like. Okay, that's the wrong board. Let's see here. So one of my clients specifically, social media marketing. Here we go. So this is an example of how you can organize your board for social media marketing. They've got some really cool templates on here, but you can essentially like plan out what your content's going to be. I will also use this from a strategy standpoint and like trying to see everything visually for me and for my clients. Okay. This is another example of how you can like use Trello. So like this is for my emails. So I've got like emails, like titles, and then inside of there is like the captions to everything, right? Okay, so I use Trello to plan out my month's content. I'll also use Google Sheets, okay? It's free. I love free things. Like as a beginning in my business as a social media manager, I have no every dollar that I made, I had to bring home as income for my family, right? So I just didn't have a whole lot of like money wiggle room to play with as far as, as far as like being able to invest into, programs and like buy things. Like I did not have the ability to do that. I couldn't. It was not in the card. So I used everything that I could that was like free. I bounced around from like Buffer to Hootsuite. Like those are other tools, but I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm trying to find, oh, here we go. This is perfect. So this is one of my existing clients right now. I'm just going to show you their month of August. I brought them on and began working with them. Sorry, there's a little bit of a lag, guys. I'm so sorry. But so this was planning for the month of August. They started with me on the 15th, so that's why you don't see every day filled up. But for instance, like on the 15th, I put a title here like this. I knew that I wanted it to be more of an engagement type post, so like a fun holiday. So I looked up a fun holiday for that day or like, random day, and it was relaxation day. So first what I did was I planned by putting the topic on the date, okay? So topic on the date, you can see that's what I did on each of those days. So I knew like I wasn't going to have 2 promotional days back to back, right? Well, after you plan your content, okay, let's come back to me now. After you plan your content, then what you can do is, Willem says, sorry, I get so distracted. I use ClickUp, which does the same as Trello. But what would you suggest to use that? I don't know what ClickUp is. I have not used that. But I've loved Trello because I can actually share a board that I'm working with my clients. So like one of my clients, we work out of like I do all of the project management for their social media throughout the month in that board. So they can use that to check up on what I'm doing. So it's really cool to be able to do that. Inside of my Facebook group, Social Media Manager Startup Community, I'm going to be doing a training on how to use Trello to share that kind of stuff with your client. So check back on that, Willem. But back to Google Sheets. So once you plan your content, whether you do that in Trello, whether you do that in Google Sheets or on a piece of paper, like for me personally, I like paper, you guys. Believe it or not, right? It's like you live in a digital world, Danielle. Like, how could you? Paper's blasphemy, isn't it? No, it is not blasphemy. Hold on, I gotta find it. I've been out of commission for the last couple of days. I don't know where it went. But I use a paper calendar. That's what I did for myself all this month was I wrote out all of my content, my ideas, like my planning on a legit, like you could use a planner like this if you wanted to, but I printed off something like that. And then I planned out my days that way. So plan, that's the first step. The second step is you've got to create the content. Now I use Google Docs to write out my captions. I put the date that I know that post is going to get scheduled for, what the topic is. I'll write the caption, and then I use Canva to go create the graphics. Now, if you're not familiar with Canva, I highly recommend that you click on the link that's in the notes here for this, for today's show, essentially for today's video. Canva is stinking brilliant. It can make like the most amateur, like beginning level graphic designer look like a freaking boss. You can literally create anything in here. So all of my clients' graphics, unless they provide stuff for me specifically, I create here. I create everything for my own business here. You name it, like everything gets designed inside of Canva. And if you're just beginning, one of the most beautiful things that I think that they have is this templates that you can utilize. Now, I don't recommend always using templates for your clients' content because a lot of people do that. So explore your skill set, right? Play around with some stuff. But here's something else that's really wonderful about Canva. And you can definitely go work with a Canva coach. Like there's courses you can take. But Canva does a really great job of providing their own tutorials and courses that are completely free. So go get like studied up on that, right? Like I know there's people who have gone to school for graphic design and things like that, and I'm not trying to downplay that. But let me just tell you guys, you do not have to have a college degree to be a social media manager. I'm talking about that in a couple of days. Like what do you need to be a social media manager? When it comes to Canva, like you don't have to be an expert, okay? And you can learn it as long as you have the willingness to learn. So what did we talk about? We talked about planning the content, creating the content. I do save it in a Google Doc, you guys. And the reason that I do that is so that I can be able to go back and have a record of the content that was created for myself, but two, so that I can easily share that with my clients if they want to review it. But the other thing, you guys, is like, just remember for you and your clients, neither one of you technically own the content that gets posted on Facebook. You have no control over if the little Mark Zuckerbergs out there in Silicon Valley decide to delete your page or delete a post or whatever might happen, like, or if Facebook completely shifts away from letting businesses be their main focus to doing something else, which by the way, they're doing that right now, okay? Then you need to have a record of your content and you need to protect it so that you can repurpose it and you can have access to that. So here's a quick sample of like what I do for my clients. The day that the post is going to go, what the topic is, the caption, and then once I've created the graphic, I load it into this Google Drive, okay? Into this Google Doc, I mean. So I always have a record of the copy, the content, and everything. This really allows for you to keep it all in one place, stay organized. Again, okay? So plan, create, and then schedule. So the scheduling tools that I prefer to use are actually some really awesome ones because they're free, and it's Creator Studio, okay? Let's get this up here. Here we go. Creator Studio, which you can schedule out for Facebook and Instagram. I know that I've already had a couple of people in my group ask me like, how do you link, the Instagram and the Facebook? Your Instagram has to be, you or your client's Instagram has to be set up as a business profile page, and it has to be connected to the Facebook account, okay? So if you want it to show up in Creator Studio, they have to be linked together. So you can schedule out your post here. So like, let me show you, this is mine. These are all posts that I've got scheduled for the rest of the month for my own content, right? And this is on the Instagram side. And when I toggle over here, what's beautiful too is you get to see analytics and insights inside of Creator Studio. I don't have a lot of time to get into that today, but that's probably one of my favorite features. You don't have to pay for this. Thank you, Facebook. And then everything is scheduled out for Facebook as well. Now here's the thing, guys. As a social media manager, you're going to have a lot of different clients that you're managing, right? So I manage all of my clients' Facebook and Instagram here, right? This is somewhere that I can manage all of them. Same with the Facebook accounts that I have access to. The other tool that I use, Hootsuite. I love Hootsuite. So just recently, I've decided to migrate off of just using Creator Studio as the sole platform, because I am using a virtual assistant to help me with scheduling, creating the content, and I can't just give her access to my Facebook. So I did go ahead and invest into Hootsuite. There is a free version though, but it limits you how many profiles you can connect to it and how many posts you can schedule out in a month. But I think it's like $25 a month for unlimited scheduling, and I think 20 profiles. So for a beginning social media manager, you could get away with using the free stuff. But once you bring on more clients, it's worth the investment. And it creates a sense of urgency too, to like book yourself out. I gotta log in here. Gosh darn it. I want to show you guys Hootsuite. Is this helpful? For those of you guys who've been on with me here for a little while, is this helpful for you guys? I need to hear your feedback. Well, you might not be looking at Hootsuite because I can't remember my password. Anywho, so Hootsuite is something that I now use because Creator Studio doesn't link to Twitter. It doesn't link to LinkedIn and stuff like that, but Hootsuite does. So I've got Hootsuite set up so that I can schedule out all of the content, as well as I can manage the engagement for my clients there as well. Okay, so we're talking about the system that I put into place, right, to be able to streamline my processes. So if we review, I went from working 40 hours a week because I was creating content every single day for my clients, taking 3 to 4 hours a day to post 6 different client stuff, to then I put this batching content system in place. And I now can basically take an hour to 2 hours to plan out an entire month's worth of content, okay? And then I go create the content, which maybe takes another hour, and then I can schedule it out, which takes 15 to 20 minutes when you follow the system that I've kind of showed you. Now, I rushed through that, right? I do, like I said, I have the toolkit checklist, which is available, as well as the essential social media toolkit, which is that batching content system. Links for all of that, of course, are in the notes here in the group. But I've been able to go from what used to take, 8 hours a month to create my clients' social media content individually, right? 8 to 10 hours for each one of my clients. I can now get one of my clients' content created in less than 3 hours between me or my virtual assistant who does it for me now, which is huge, right? That's a huge time saver. The other thing that I put in place into my business to save me time, you guys, was tools like Calendly. Okay, Calendly allowed for me to book appointments with my clients when I was when I was sleeping. So I knew that I was gonna have inquiries coming in, and you can't always be emailing people. Have you guys ever been in a position where you're like, hey, what time works for you? Oh, this time works for me. How about this time? No, that doesn't work for me. I now use a scheduling tool called Calendly, which is completely free for 1 or 2 calendars. And then I just send that to my clients too. So streamlining the process to have appointments with your clients, whether that's a new client or you're doing your check-ins, okay? Another tool that I put into place in my business, let's see here, I've got Canva, talk about that, Trello. Oh, Google Calendar, that's been really helpful in putting systems in place. Kajabi, okay? So as a social media manager, you're gonna find yourself, one, needing to have a website for yourself. You're gonna need to have an email campaign system set up, whether it's for you or for your clients. Automations, I use Kajabi. as an all-in-one platform for all of that, for my own website. Everything that I host is on Kajabi. That's available. What else? Let's see here. Oh, okay. And then one other thing that I've been able to do over the last couple of months, and I've talked about it a couple of times, is I did get to a position where I've got my own systems in place, right? So then I can have another team member come on who can assist me with things, right? Now, for me, it's a virtual assistant, right? And I only have a few hours a month that I utilize this virtual assistant. But that, you guys, has freed me up so much. She's so much better at creating the content than I am, honestly. I give her the vision, I give her the strategy, and she takes that and she goes and she creates the graphics and the captions and schedules it out for all of my clients. She does that in about 12 hours for an entire month for 9 of my clients, and I don't have to touch it at all, right? Now I'm just on the front of it where I'm doing the strategy side of things, right? Where I'm the front man communications with my clients on a regular basis. So that's pretty much it that I wanted to talk about today. I'm almost to the 30-minute mark, which I didn't want to go over. But just as a recap, you guys, the biggest things that I put into place in my business to go from working 40 hours a week to 20 hours a week is I just got more efficient. I got way more organized with my time. I realized that I don't have to work 40 hours a week to feel productive, right? With all of that and shrinking back the amount of time I spent in my business, my pay never took a hit. My revenue has stayed the same. There's been a couple of down months, but it wasn't because I was working less. It might have just been because me and some clients had some transitions that we needed to make. But I've been able to free up a lot of my time. Today, I probably only work about 12, maybe 15 hours a week. I'm full-time staying at home with my girls. I'm a homeschooled mom now. Like I teach my 4.5-year-old. I've got a 19-month-old who's running our world right now, who keeps us on our toes and so busy. And that's the way that I want it, right? And this company continues to grow. And it's just because we're putting systems in place, right? Where I'm putting processes in place. I'm not feeling like I need to be busy all the time in order to be productive. Like that's one thing that I really hope, sorry, I keep wiping my lip because I'm sweaty. But that's one thing that I really want to help break down in this world of social media managers and entrepreneurs. This is like, you don't have to hustle and grind all the time to feel like you're actually getting something done, right? Like you can have some peace in your life. You can actually give yourself a break from time to time, and that's okay. You got to make sure that you've got systems in place, that you're being effective with your time. A couple other really quick tips: calendar blocking. Make sure that you're disciplined with your calendar. Like if you say you're going to work on content creation for 2 hours, don't let any distractions come in that time, right? Be very disciplined. I don't take phone calls during my like peak performance time. If I'm working and I've got a sitter here for the girls, my peak performance time is like 10 to noon. I do not take any phone calls. I really try not to do any Facebook Lives during that time. Like I'm in creation mode, right? Because I know that's when I operate the best. Willem, there is a link already, I think, inside of the caption, but I can DM you for the thing that I use for the email campaigning. But yeah, you guys, like overall, like I hope this was helpful. Again, like I said at the beginning, my biggest deal is I want to inspire people to know that you can do this, right? You can become a social media manager. Like I didn't have like a business coach in the world of like having an online business until earlier this year. I've always had a mentor. I've had a mentor for 7 years who's been a huge, huge support in this business and really everything in life. But like I figured a lot of this out on my own. Like I failed a lot, right? And that's something that you're going to have to do is take some risks. Try some things. Don't feel like you have to have it all under control, right? But definitely utilize me and the group that I've created with the social media manager startup community to lean in, ask questions, and reach out to me when you have questions or you have snags with you and your clients, okay? With that being said, just want to let you guys know as I wrap up that, like I've mentioned before, and there's a link here, again, in the notes to this video, on September 24th, I'm going to be doing a free training for how to become a social media manager. I want to talk about what it can do for you in your life. I do want to talk a little bit about the mindset and strategy that I have when I'm creating content for my clients. I want to talk a little bit in there about how I found my clients and how I've been able to maintain a really high retention with my clients, and then how I've kind of scaled my business. That's going to lead into a program that I'm going to be launching here towards the end of the month, where I'm going to kind of mentor people in becoming their own social media manager in whatever capacity that looks like for you guys. So mark your calendars for that. That's going to be here in less than 12 days, which is so exciting. But that's going to be a free webinar training on September 24th. It is going to be in the evening time, so after people are off work. But that's it. I'm wrapped up. If you have questions, make sure you drop them in the comments. Send me a DM. Join the Facebook group, Social Media Startup Community, and I look forward to seeing you on part 3, which I can't remember what part 3 is, but I have a feeling that it's the one where I talk about, like, what does it take to be a social media manager? Like, what qualifications do you need to have? A little tip, you don't need many, okay? So you don't have to have a certification or any of that kind of stuff. So anyways, have a blessed weekend, and can't wait to see you guys in the next video. Take care.